In this week's Money Monday Management segment, we are talking with regular guest, financial advisor Rob Wilson. Election day just 42 days away, of course, and with the campaigns heating up, those issues on the table might affect your wallet. So, Rob, tell us right now what we can do to protect ourselves. How you doing?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
Good to see you. Thank you. Fine, my friend.
You know what? The election season frustrates me a little bit with all of these commercials. You know, they always say that there's three sides to every story: one side, the other side, and the truth.
Yeah, right.
And so that's really where we're in the midst now, although we are heading to the debate season, which I think a lot of more truth will come out of that. But I think it's important to not get the real issues sort of lost amongst all of the commercials. And so I thought I'd talk about some of the key issues that are going to affect you as far as you, your money, and the election coming up in November.
Well, I mean, we know for a fact that the stock market's doing pretty well right now.
Yeah.
Gas prices have somehow or another remained under $4, although not by much. But the jobs, what's going on with those, and what do you see for the future?
Yeah, stubbornly inconsistent or high unemployment, right? But if we're going to cast votes about the economy, I think it's important to really understand how the economy works. And so capitalism creates the great catch-22 because we all want our own individual bank accounts to be as big as they can possibly be. And I'm a financial advisor, so I have an interest in that because as people make more money and save more money, they
make more money,
invest more money, right? But the problem is, as a part of that, you cannot do that without other people. So if I'm sitting in my house or my garage and I want to start a new business, right? The point is I want to make money with that business, and I cannot do that if people cannot afford to buy the products that I'm going to sell. And so that's one thing that's really important as far as the economy. Can people buy the things that you want to sell? And so having a strong middle class, in my opinion, is going to make all businesses flourish because you got more people out there spending money.
Well, now that we're not manufacturing things like we used to, I mean, the big manufacturing economy has all but evaporated. In terms of steel, for instance, automobiles, yeah, we're still making them, but not like we were back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Where are the jobs going to come from, Rob?
You know what?
I mean, it's nice to talk about creating jobs, but how do you do it if we're a consumer society and we're going outside the U.S. to buy everything? Where are we going to create jobs?
You can't talk about jobs without simultaneously talking about education. So all of the automobiles that you're discussing, yeah, we do manufacture a lot of those, but they're so much more high tech now than they were in previous years. And so there are a lot of jobs that go unfulfilled for automotive technicians because we don't necessarily put out the workforce that's educated enough to take those jobs.
Okay.
And so there's an area where if we had perhaps educated folks in high school to take those jobs, maybe the unemployment rate would be a little bit lower. So if you take Pittsburgh specifically, we're now eds and meds, right? Education and medicine, where we were still before. So if you take some time and think about which candidate is going to stress education and have a more educated workforce, you'd think that would help the unemployment rate overall.
Okay, so you get your education, stay in school. What else can you do to protect yourself?
Well, let's talk about this healthcare, right? Because health and wealth are very intertwined. Your biggest asset is your ability to work. And so if you don't stay healthy, you can't make money. You're going to put yourself in a bad position. 60% of the bankruptcies in the United States are health related. And so that's why the health reform is so important. And you've got some candidates that want to repeal the whole thing, and you've got the president who put it in place and wants to keep it there. So these are important things. I'll tell you a personal story. You know, my mother actually suffered from multiple sclerosis, which is the same condition that Mrs. Romney has. And it was very fortunate for us that my mother had good insurance from her job. She worked at H.A. Heinz for a number of years, and she also did rely on Medicare for some time. She was one of the 47% of people who didn't pay taxes for a time because she was, unfortunately, for the last 10 years of her life in a nursing home. So those 47% of those people, she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to be in that situation, but it was something that was beyond her control. But because those safety nets were there, it helped me because it didn't put a burden on me. I could still spend money to go to school, to get educated, to get a good job. And so those reforms are a very key issue in this election.
What do we do about the deficit, Rob? And what kind of an impact will that have on this economy in the years ahead? How do we pay that down? How do we even pay the interest on it?
Well, you know what? It's a good thing that government wants to take care of people and have those safety nets, but you can't just spend. You know what? I had to take a plane last night to get back here, right? And the stewardess tells you if the pressure drops in the plane, you got to put your mask on before you can help your kid or you help
Yes.
somebody else in your row.
Yep.
You cannot help the rest of the country if you have so much debt that you're spending all your money on just the interest. So unfortunately, some difficult decisions do have to be made on what you're going to cut, what you're going to reform, what you're going to make more efficient so that you can get the dollars to the people that really need it. So that's a key issue as well.
And in terms of investments, what do you see? What do you like? I mean, just give us a couple of names if you have them, things that you believe in investing in right now, and what do you think is safe and yet profitable for the future?
I try not to give out specific stock advice, especially on TV, but folks can definitely go to my website, robwilson.tv, and contact me for more specific advice. But in general, I think the technology sector is very good. I mean, did you see all of those lines around the Apple store last week?
Unreal.
When the iPhone 5 was coming out.
Unreal. And how many do they expect? 100 million? How many are going to get sold? It's incredible.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're an investor in companies like that, you're going to do very well for yourself.
Yeah, obviously. All right. Well, Rob Wilson, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Meanwhile, Rob, of course, a financial advisor with Blazer Capital Management. He's here with Money Monday segments every other week. It's always a pleasure to have him in the house.